In this video I like to talk about bucket brigade delays or BBDs, which are part of many available delay or echo effects, either in form of modules or effect pedals. BBDs are not the only type of delay. There are basically three big ones. The tape delays or wire delays are the oldest ones, going back to the 1950s. Then there are these BBDs, which emerged in the early 70s. And today we have digital delays with high precision DA and AD converters and lots of computational power. All these delay types have their pros and cons. Tape delays, for example, are famous for their long delay times and their warm and saturated character, but they require an elaborate servicing due to the moving parts, and today tape delays are the most expensive ones compared to the other two types. BBDs are much cheaper and simpler as they have no moving parts, but they often add an annoying noise to the sound and are prone to other dirt effects like undersampling or hard clipping, which are both mostly unwanted, but sometimes they can also add to the character of the sound. The up-to-date digital delays are also cheap and absolutely clean. In fact, they are so clean that they can get boring, and this is why we deliberately simulate the side effects of tape or BBD delays with these digital devices to generate a controllable amount of character. This one here from Strymon, for example, is a pure digital delay, but it simulates an old tape delay. So it gives you the choice to decide how much side effects of the tape delay you want. Strymon also offers this one, which simulates a BBD, which sounds a bit strange in the first place because BBD chips are still available and even cheaper than the high-end audio processor in here, which is a Shark DSP. But again, this lets you decide how much dirt you want, and sometimes one just needs a clean delay. With a real BBD chip, the side effects are always present if you want them or not. So back to the topic of this video: how does a BBD work? We can interpret a BBD as a series of sample and hold devices or a series of analog storage cells. Each of these cells can pass its stored voltage over to the next cell, and this one passes its stored voltage over to the next one, and so on. It's like when we transport buckets of water over some distance using a chain of people, which explains the name bucket brigade delay. And the water level in these buckets then corresponds to the voltage in our BBD in terms of the audio application. So if we feed a voltage into the first cell and we sample a few times, we pass this voltage over from cell to cell and can then grab it from the last cell. If this initial voltage originates from an audio signal, let's say from a simple sine wave, we basically sample this sine wave at a given rate, usually in the high audio range, definitely higher than the pitch of this sine wave. And then we pass these samples through the chain of storage cells and grab the output here, and in my example the output is then 5 sample times behind the original input. So we receive a time shifted or delayed sine wave at the output. And if we add some feedback, then we receive a classic echo effect. Now there are obviously two ways to adjust the delay amount, either by adjusting the sampling rate, which then leads to a slower or faster processing of the input voltages through these storage cells. Or we could even add more or less cells, or they are also called stages, to this BBD, and modern BBD chips typically feature up to 4000 stages. The primary tuning method, however, is definitely adjusting the sampling rate, because we usually cannot simply add or remove stages from the delay without changing the whole circuitry. If we reduce the sampling rate too much, we start to undersample the audio input and the output becomes more and more distorted, and for a severe undersampling, the output now isn't even close to the input waveform anymore. But nicely delayed though. So delay time and quality are connected in these BBDs, and the simple rule is the higher we set the sampling rate, the better is the output quality, but the lower is the delay time. We can easily calculate the delay time. Let's say for a 220 Hz sound, we need at least a sampling rate of 440 Hz. according to the Nyquist-Shannon theorem. But let's give us a bit more output quality and sample with 2 kHz. This means we now sample 2000 times per second, so we pass our input signal through 2000 stages each second, and with a 4000 stage chip we can then achieve a delay of about 2 seconds, which is already quite nice. Well, another problem is the clock noise, and most BBD chips output a certain clock noise, especially with lower sampling rates, and this noise is just annoying. So you typically want to filter it out using a low-pass filter with a steep filter curve, at least 24 dB or even better 48 dB per octave. The BBDs inside the effects pedals or modules already have well-designed filters on board, so we typically don't have to care about this problem. I want to focus on a very special delay in this video, which is the Doepfer A188-2, because this one is unfiltered. It gives us the full amount of clock noise, which is not a pro argument for this delay, but a real pro argument is that it is a tapped delay, which means we can not only grab the voltage from the last stage, but also from stages in between. The stage number is labeled here, and we can just plug cables into here and grab the output from this stage. We also have these attenuators here, so we can conveniently receive the mix of several stages by adding them to this combined output here. And since these are attenuators, we can also add these stage outputs in an inverted way, which gives lots of different cancelling effects in the output mix and leads to very interesting sounds. This 188-2 module features 2 delay lines which share one input but give us 2 outputs, so we can use it for stereo effects, for example for ping-pong delays. The feedback is normal to the lowest, so fastest delay stage, but we can break this up and use higher stages for the feedback. The clock noise is quite severe here, and you have to use a filter because it's really annoying. I initially thought this module is defect, but Doepfer also states this clock noise on their website, so it's normal for this module. By the way, the 188-1 is much quieter. This is also a BBD delay from Doepfer, but it uses a different BBD chip, and this seems to output much less clock noise. But it's not a tapped BBD and also not dual, so it offers a bit less opportunities compared to the 188-2. However, for the 188-2 you definitely need 1 or 2 filters to use it, and it requires some patching, and overall it's not a quick and ready to go delay. But if you spend some time and tuning with it, you can get very interesting and also quite pleasing sounds out of it. Let's listen to a few experiments with this delay, and I use the System100 and the Arp modules from Behringer here as sound source, and also the filters from the System100 to remove the clock noise. I already reviewed the Behringer A188-2, which also has an audio delay, and if we look at the schematics, we find out that there is a MN3004 chip working in here, which is a 512 stage BBD chip. So we can also use this as a delay, and with lots of CV for the delay time and a bit of additional feedback from the output to its input, it sounds quite like a classic delay. Though it's a bit hard to find a real sweet spot here, and delay times are still very short. At least the clock noise is very low, which is a feature of this MN3004 chip. However, the purpose here is definitely not the classic delay effect. It's more intended to work as a flanger or chorus, so with very short delay times. The Behringer Neutron also has a BBD chip on board, which is a 3205 from Cool Audio, and this features 4096 stages. Perhaps Behringer also used 2 chips and daisy-chained them because delay times are quite long here, but I'm not sure about this. What I am certainly sure about is that this delay is, let's say, full of character and especially easy to overdrive, resulting in a very dirty sound. I used it in the following short impro with a bit of additional reverb, and the delay here goes from tamed to quite aggressive. The last one of the BBDs in my collection is the Ibanez ES2 echo shifter, which is also a true BBD and not a simulation. And it also uses a 4096 stage 3205 chip from Cool Audio. Probably 2 of them daisy-chained, as I assume based on the information you can find on a Japanese gear review website. This delay is incredibly clean and has almost no noise. Of course it starts to undersample a bit with longer delay times, but it's all in all a very tamed and clean BBD delay. And it also has a modulation generator on board that induces a slow oscillation in the sampling rate, which gives us a very nice fluctuating effect in the resulting sound. want to mention one last delay here, which is the WMD DPLR, and this is a ping-pong delay and was actually the first module that I ever possessed. This little thing kicked the money drain open and made me want to fill these racks with modules, each of them absolutely essential. For quite some time I thought that this is an analog delay due to its amount of noise, but during my profound research for this video I found out that it uses a PT2399 chip, which is a digital audio processor and obviously quite noisy. So this is not a real BBD, but a digital delay, though also with lots of character, and it gives us an integrated filter to tame the noise. That's it about delays in general and BBDs in particular, and there are plenty of others out there, especially effect pedals and Eurorack modules. I personally use the Ibanez ES2, the delay in the Neutron, and most often the digital delays from Strymon and the Eurorack modules here. I only rarely use the Doepfer one because, it's just too noisy and too elaborate to set it up with the extra filters. But when I use it, I'm always blown away after a short while by the crazy sounds you can create with this module. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.